Alright, let's talk about the creepiest thing in World of Warcraft, and I'm not talking about Baron's chat sessions you might have nightmares about. There's something lurking in this game. Something that has been here since Vanilla WoW. It's not a quest, not an event, not even a secret boss. It's just there. I'm talking about the cursed children of Goldshire, the one mystery in WoW that Blizzard has never explained. And the worst part? It's real! Everyone knows Goldshire. It's one of the first places new players visit after escaping Northshire. A peaceful little town. The classic human starter zone where I started my first WoW classic adventure as human rogue. The kind of place where your biggest concern is whether your character is going to survive Hogger at level 6 or not. However, just north of town, there's a house. And if you've been playing WoW for long enough, you know exactly which house I'm talking about. It looks normal at first, just a regular 2-story building sitting in a quiet clearing. No quest markers, no NPCs telling you to go there, just a house with a skinning and leatherworker trainer. But then you step inside and you immediately know something is wrong. Nothing about this place should be memorable, and yet, players never forget it. That's because the house isn't really empty. On the second floor, 6 children stand in a perfect hexagonal formation. They don't move, they don't talk, they just stand there, silent, staring. It's unsettling in a way that WoW rarely is. This game is full of spooky places, haunted crypts, ancient ruins, void-ridden temples. But this is different. These kids don't belong to any quest line, they don't acknowledge you, they just exist. And then you start hearing the sounds. When you're inside the house at the right time, usually around 7 in the morning, the ambient music disappears. Instead, you hear other things, a woman screaming in agony, a deep guttural growl, eerie whispers, words you can't quite make out. And if you've played World of Warcraft long enough, you recognize something else. The voice of Karazhan whispering, "You will die." These are the same whispers you hear in Ahn'Qiraj, the same mind-breaking voices of the old gods. But why are they here? This isn't some random glitch. This has been in the game since Vanilla WoW. Blizzard never patched it, never gave an official reason, never tied it to a quest, and yet the details are too precise to be random. The children appear at specific times. The sounds are deliberate. Old God whispers, screams, growls. The hexagonal formation isn't accidental. And here's the kicker. Some players swear they've seen the children move. Not during the day, not while you're watching, but when you least expect it. There are reports, probably just rumors, but still, of players seeing the children standing outside the house, staring towards Goldshire, or even worse, staring at them. At this point, you might be thinking, alright, this has to be some deep-cut lore reference, right? Maybe an abandoned storyline about haunted children. Nope, there is no known lore connection, no character or event in World of Warcraft that explains what these kids are, or what they're waiting for. And that right there is what makes it terrifying. We all know World of Warcraft is a game full of stories. Every dungeon, every city, every raid has a history, a reason for being there. But sometimes, the scariest things in Azeroth aren't the ones with a quest marker. They're the ones that weren't meant to be found. And if this tiny, unassuming house in Goldshire can hide something this disturbing, what else is out there? Maybe you've seen them before. Maybe you've never even noticed them. But one thing's for sure, once you do, you'll never forget. Just like you'll never forget to like this video and subscribe to my channel. To my knowledge, Blizzard has never explained the Goldshire children. That's the part that sticks with me the most. World of Warcraft is massive. Every major location, every faction, every event has some kind of lore behind it. Even random crypts and ruined towns usually have a story buried somewhere in the game's files. But this house and these children? Nothing, it's just there, creeping people out since WoW launched. So that leaves us with the question, if Blizzard didn't tell us what this is, can we figure it out ourselves? One of the most common theories ties this mystery back to World of Warcraft's oldest and most terrifying villains, the Old Gods, like we covered before. And honestly, to me that makes a lot of sense. But let's look at some other rumors. The whispers in the house sound exactly like the ones heard in Ahn'Qiraj and Ulduar. The hexagonal formation the children stand in resembles ritualistic patterns used in dark magic. Phrase, "you will die," comes directly from Cthulhu, an old god imprisoned beneath Silithus. Now, if this were any other zone, that might be enough to start making connections. But there's a problem. As far as we know, there is no known old god presence in Elwynn Forest. No corrupted areas, no void cultists twisting the land, just low-level bandits, wolves, and farmers trying to survive in the woods. And yet, when you step inside this house, you hear the echoes of something far older than Stormwind. If the old gods don't explain it, then maybe we're looking at the wrong kind of corruption. And that brings us to Karazhan, perhaps a too wild guess. The deadliest, most haunted tower in Azeroth is not far from Goldshire. It looms over Deadwind Pass, pulsing with arcane energy, demonic residue, and the echoes of Medivh's dark past. We know that the land around Karazhan is twisted by strange, unpredictable magic. Time shifts, shadows move, and reality itself seems to bend within its walls. Could Goldshire's house be affected by the same forces? Here's something weird. There's another abandoned house just outside Karazhan that has a similar feeling of wrongness. It's not as famous as the Goldshire house, but if you've ever explored around Karazhan, you might have come across it. A house that looks normal on the outside but feels way off on the inside, almost like a faint echo of something much darker nearby. Could the magic from Karazhan be bleeding into Elwynn Forest? Maybe, but if that's the case, why only this one house? Why these children? One final possibility, and maybe most logical. This could have been a part of a questline that Blizzard removed before launch or intended to implement. And you know what? That wouldn't be the first time. There have been tons of story elements cut from World of Warcraft. Just to name a few, you are probably already familiar with the Karazhan Crypts, with their disturbing upside-down sinners, the Dwarven Airfield, an unfinished area above Ironforge, the original version of Hyjal, which was explorable but had no NPCs or quests. But unlike those places, Blizzard never locked this house away. They never removed it. They never blocked it off or finished the story. They just left it. And that's what makes it worse. Because whatever this was supposed to be, it's still there. At the end of the day, we don't have a real answer and probably never will. For all I know, it could even be a reference to Children of the Corn. The Goldshire house isn't tied to a raid, a dungeon, or even a hidden lore book buried in the files. It just exists, daring people to step inside and listen. And maybe that's the scariest part, because World of Warcraft is a game full of stories, epic wars, fallen kingdoms, lost cities. But sometimes, the real horror isn't what's told. It's what's left behind. Maybe it's a forgotten piece of lore. Maybe it's something Blizzard abandoned. Or maybe it was never meant to be found. Now, if you're new here, I'm Shadowscribe and I'm Dutch. I've been playing WoW Retail on and off since 2005, but recently I switched back to Classic WoW because I felt the classic pull for a slower pace and nostalgia. I love experiencing Azeroth as it was, discovering lore, shedding light on ancient mysteries, and sharing them with you, which is also new for me. I truly love a like and subscribe. Anyway, drop a comment and tell me, what's the one mystery in WoW you like the most?